baby.
Hey, this is Matt Johnson here. We are back with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored, and this time we have a very special episode. This is a Bay Area real estate market update. So we're going to be talking about all things Bay Area real estate, both from the real estate residential sales side and the mortgage side. We've got a special guest here with us. But before that, let's bring in the one of the men of the hour, my co-pilot and the junior grandmaster himself, Greg McDaniel. Greg, what's up today?
Matt, what's going on, man? Our last interview with Jay Sam, it kicked ass and took names, and we could not have asked for a better guest. And after the air, we challenged each other to do 3 things that bum us out every day, and then we're gonna get back together with Jay. I think like February 8th on that Monday and do a show with him, and he's gonna work us through how to create a $1 billion idea. Matt and I were off the air today talking about this. I'm like, so Matt, have you been doing your 3 things that bum you out every day? He's like, yes. And I said, I've been trying, but I just don't have 3 things a day that I'm bummed out about. And either I lived in.
I was having the same issue. We both realized that. Wait a minute, we're actually pretty happy with everything in our lives.
I like my life. Yeah. I don't bitch. I mean, I wrote down 3 things. I mean, for any of you that know me, I'm a sweater, right? I mean, good Lord. I mean, when it comes to workout, I have Lake Greg below me at the gym. But I mean, I did 3 things. Like 1, an inhaler that eliminates fear. I don't know. And then something that controls sweating, so you don't profusely sweat on a first date or a job interview or whatever. And then I don't really have any others. I mean, traffic. I mean, natural shit like that. But do you want to know something awesome? By the way. Okay. So my Mercedes that I bought about 6 months ago, I hadn't gotten a bill for it yet, and I hadn't bought a car since 2004. He's shaking his head, going, "Greg, you're a fucking tool. How do you not know this?" But I call the dealer, right? I found the most perfect crack on planet Earth. They quite literally, like I bought the car, gave them the money. They put the lien on it with the bank, but the bank never filed the lien, so they never gave the loan. So I've been sitting in just never land, just floating out there for 6 months and haven't had to make a car payment. I've had a free car for 6 months. It is awesome. And I
wouldn't advise anyone to repeat that particular mistake, Greg.
I didn't create it. I wasn't waiting for my bill, but I'll tell you one thing, man. Having a free Mercedes for 6 months doesn't suck.
No, it's the only thing better than having a Mercedes is having a Mercedes for free. So
for free.
With that, let's bring in our special guest, so we're not sitting him on ice, because we've got some cool things to talk about today.
Did you mean to say that?
Area mortgage expert, Tony Mendes. Tony, what's up?
Good afternoon. I'm doing well.
Good.
I'm just thinking about how I can get a free car.
That's right. That's going to be at the top of my complaint list for tomorrow for the Jason interview.
Greg,
is the fact that Greg got a free Mercedes and I did not.
Greg, if there's one thing that should make you sweat, and this is coming from the loan industry or the finance industry, is somebody having a lien on your car with you owing money but you don't have a payment. That would make me sweat. Just
that's what I was thinking when you told me.
Are they going to bill you all of those back payments?
Nope, not one bit. I don't owe anything except for where we started off. They're like, look, your car payment, your value is still there. You don't. It wasn't my fault. It was their fault. So there's no way to bill me back payments on it. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah. So unlike the car business, then you can't play the ignorance card.
No.
With the mortgage industry, they're going to bill you, and if you don't make the payment, then it kind of screws you up for a couple years.
Yeah, I feel like if you moved into a house and they forgot to send you a bill. At some point, they're going to go, well, you've been living there for 6 months. We're going to go ahead and send you a bill for all the payments that you should have made for the last 6 months.
Well, the car industry isn't like that, so I got a free car, bitches.
There's enough people on the red tape side of the mortgage industry, and whether it's titling or the county doing your property taxes or the escrow company, and then the bank and the servicer. There's enough. There's more people in that side of the business than there are in the front end. So I promise you that in the real estate business, it'll catch up to you if you ever don't get that bill in the mail. So that would make me sweat.
If you buy a house and 45 days have gone by and you don't have a bill for your first payment, be worried. Do not do what Greg did and bury your head in the sand.
I didn't bury my head in the sand, guys. They said it was going to be there in a month or 2, so I waited, and then I kept waiting. Okay. Let's move forward before we beat this horse that's already dead.
Oh, yeah, we're going to beat it down. Okay, so real quick, before we get into some of our shout-outs, I want to throw a question out to both Greg and Tony today. So this comes from the Facebook lead gen objections group. So if you head on over to facebook.com/group/gotobjections, you can join up with that. Me and Greg are members. It's a great community. So Karen Freed asks, looking for a response to, quote, we are deciding whether to sell now or work on the house for a bit. She gives some background. She's in a very tight market. There's not a lot of inventory in their price range, very similar to the Bay Area. And this particular seller is thinking of adding on to their house. So, Greg, what would you say to that seller? Let's say they were in the Bay Area and they're thinking of adding on to their house and they're concerned whether they should sell now or whether they should wait.
Well, we're in a unique year. We're in an election year. So both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans, they're not going to let the economy tank because it's just not going to go well for their candidate or whoever they're trying to get elected. So my first question would be to the seller, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what is the cost of this potential addition? Square footage, finish levels, the whole nine. Then we look at it backwards mathematically and see if it's going to make financial sense. Are they going to make a return on this, or are they just going to break even? What's the reason for this? Do we need to do it? If you're in a tight market, why go through the pain and suffering? Let's go cash heavy. Let's put this thing on the market. Let's get a good, fair price for it, and then let's take that capital, reallocate it into another property, or maybe into one for you, and maybe an investment property. Doing construction on adding on square footage is a major undertaking. It's not something that's easy or for the faint of heart. It can be damaging and taxing on the relationship too. So if you want to keep your marriage intact, I would probably advise maybe
do not get contractors involved.
Do not get contractors involved. And my parents ripped down half of their house and rebuilt it naturally right when I went to college, and the house looked awesome as soon as I got back. But it took them a year to do this, and they had every week 6 a.m. meetings, and that shit is rough, man. It's taxing. So I would probably advise against it, to be honest, unless it's going to make a significant return for them.
Right, you're right. So Tony, what do you say about that, both from the financing part in terms of maybe getting a construction loan or taking out a second mortgage to do that type of construction if they don't have the cash, and let's say they're buying in the Bay Area, they're just moving within the Bay Area and they need to get a home loan on the other side anyway. What would your advice be for them?
Well, you definitely have to run the scenarios both directions. I've seen it both ways, and I've seen it work both ways, and I've seen it fail. Greg's right. You have to run the math. How much does it cost? What is the return on that? I mean, if you're looking for dollar, the only reason why I would do that let's say it's a buyer's market, is if you're trying to attract more buyers. Okay. In a seller's market, though, you may be getting more than dollar for dollar because of the tight inventory. But then again, there could be another consideration, is that the house doesn't conform with the neighborhood. And you're trying to, you could be the smallest and ugliest house in the block, and maybe by increasing it or adding another room to it, could conform it to the rest of the neighborhood, and then all of a sudden you're looking at more top dollar. That could be something as well. And then factor in, how much equity you have moving to the new property and so on. But it has to work for dollar. I mean, why would you spend 80 grand to fix up your house when you're just going to get 80 grand extra? You pay more realty fees, you might pay more taxes. So why would you do that? So from a loan point of view, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can do a refinance where you do cash out, or you can get an equity line. There's nothing wrong with an equity line if you know the schedule in which you pay back. People like equity lines when they're doing these type of projects, because if you, as opposed to a 30-year fixed refinance, you're taking the money all out at once and you're paying interest right away. An equity line, you only pay interest on the money that you borrow. So if you have a project that takes 6 months to 12 months, and you need that 1/3 at the beginning and 1/3 halfway through and then 1/3 at the end, then you're not paying interest on it, unless there's a benefit to do something. Let's say you're in a 30-year fix and you go to a 5-year arm or even a 3-year arm, and then that lowers your payments enough that it almost comes out equal. I've actually seen those scenarios. So there's multiple ways you can do this. I guess it really depends on where you are. I would highly recommend that you talk to your realtor and get some cost basis on, properties with, the way it is now, then with one extra bedroom, or, should you upgrade the kitchen? Greg, I know you go through this all the time with your clients, because they go, oh, well, I'm going to sell my house a little bit better if I put Corian countertops and some Venetian tiles in, or in reality you're spending 25-30 grand on a kitchen and a bathroom, and you're not going to get that out of return. And then not only that, you may not have the same taste as the buyers that are coming in. So it really does come down to working with your realtor and making sure that those numbers work, and then look at your loan options if you decide to do it.
Yeah, always have to look at the return. It cannot be just, oh, that was a fun project. I'm glad that took 3 months of my life and stressed my kids out, stressed my
Yeah.
wife out, and tapped my bank account. No, thank you.
And meanwhile, the house, your house may be going up dollar for dollar, and it doesn't make sense. The house that you were going to buy just went up 20 grand. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
Yeah, it's one thing if you're moving out of San Francisco and moving to, let's say, Omaha, Nebraska. I don't know why anybody would do that, but
Who
yeah,
live in Omaha,
the
Nebraska?
numbers do change significantly. I don't know.
hey,
Nobody
I
lives there,
have
Greg.
family in Omaha.
What?
And I have family in Omaha. He has a beautiful house. You'd be surprised how much it's less than $500,000, but he's like 5 acres. It's like a 5,000 square foot house. People live like kings in other parts of the United States, where, here in the Bay Area, it's everybody's right next to you, and there's traffic. There's people walking all over the place. People get hit all the time, and you're wondering why we're spending $1 million for a 2-bedroom place in San Francisco. I mean, it's there's other lifestyles that people like here with all the other amenities.
There is.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, believe me, you can live like a king. However, I would just like to point out that, as my parents told me yesterday, it was 5 degrees below zero with negative 20 wind chill in Omaha yesterday. Yeah,
Dude.
I don't care. I don't care what kind of lifestyle you have. It's cold.
And now that you've acclimated to California, Matt, it's chilly 58.
Weird. I'm surprised I'm not wearing a sweater right this second.
You should have long underwear on. That's what you should be doing.
Who says I have short underwear on?
I don't want to
We'll
talk
just leave
about
it at that. Okay, so all right. Before we get into the bulk of what we're going to talk about, there's an article in the San Jose Mercury News I want to bring out about some of the statistics about the Bay Area real estate market over the past year. We'll talk about that. But before that, let's give some shout outs to both some people and some sponsors. Greg, we'll get to you in a second. Why don't I give out some vendor shout outs real quick?
Remember, Equity 2Qs.
Yes, so Equity with 2Qs, the online buyer lead generation platform that's built from the ground up for solo agents. So if you're interested in generating buyer leads, a very sustainable and affordable number of leads that you can work to turn into real deals, take the McDaniel Challenge, get a hold of Greg. He'll be able to tell you whether it's available in your market, and if so, when it's coming, and how you can get hooked up with that. And then just a quick shout out to Viral Marketing. Thank you for cutting a check to make Hangouts and podcasts like these happen. And check them out at getviral.com. So Greg, who do you have to shout out in terms of people that you're talking to either last week or that coming up this week?
Okay, so I have a lot of really cool shout-outs, and then, Matt, the really cool thing about these shout-outs is that they're not just from the people that I'm talking to on the McDaniel Challenge on an evening basis. They're actually coming through on Facebook, they're coming through on About.me, they're coming through on Facebook Messenger, YouTube comments, all kinds of stuff. So I'm loving the interaction, you guys.
Very cool.
This makes me have so much fun. And Matt, just so that you know, hashtag don't let Greg spend the night alone actually just hit the airwaves. I just saw it the other day, and I laughed my ass off. I'm like, oh my god, it is starting to happen.
That's funny.
So okay, so here are my shout outs. I got my guy out of South Africa today, dude. I'm going to be talking to him tonight. Well, for me, it's 6 p.m. my time, but it's going to be 4 a.m. his time, and he's going to be up, ready to talk. Now, that's fucking dedication right there. So if you guys can't make the 6 p.m. work, that's your own problem. But that is for real. Andrew, I had a great time talking to you, my friend. Marlo, you and I are chatting today. If I don't have my calendar on. Yeah, Marlo, we're chatting today, buddy. Cannot wait for that. Nelly, you crack me up. She's in Michigan, man. She's the one I sent you the screenshot of how she just loves our podcast, and I was talking to her about it, and she's like, "Is it bad that I kind of hoard you and I don't want to give you to anyone else?" I mean, yes, it's bad.
That is bad. Yes,
is
please tell a friend. This is not Fight Club.
This is not Fight Club. And the first rule about Fight Club, Matt, you don't talk about Fight Club.
That's right.
But you do talk about Real Estate Uncensored.
Exactly.
So Nelly, and I also booked her for next week. She and I are going to get on. It's going to be awesome. She's a new agent. It's going to be. I guarantee you that's going to go for like an hour and a half because I can definitely see she has a personality, and we're going to get along at 2 peas and carrots. YouTube, Beth hit me up, and yes, made a comment about the cat that invaded my parents' house for 18 days. Yeah, that is a true story, and that did happen.
Yes.
And that cat.
Yeah, right. Just to point out.
Yeah, it was like solitary confinement for that poor cat. It's like a 5x5 cell, all dark, let out 1 hour of the day in the yard to walk and stretch its legs. Poor thing was so pissed. So glad to go home. About.me, Kevin, man, I really enjoyed getting your email and your message on About.me. I know the feeling that you have, bro, and kind of where you are in life and everything else. As you know, I came from something very similar to that. So we're gonna work really hard, and we're gonna get you up and rocking and rolling. sooner than later, my friend. Also, everybody, if you guys do not know who Pat Hyben is, he is a phenomenal agent out of the East Coast. He just tagged me in Facebook, and I made his top 20 episodes that he's done in his entire podcast. So humbled and honored, Pat, to have me on your show. So thank you. Love to get you on our show so everybody can hear all the cool stuff that you do. And I look forward to to chatting with you more this year. And we got a really good guest for you.
I'm going to meet Pat in person actually here in about 2 weeks in Tahoe. So I'm going up to his GoBundance event. So if anybody is interested in joining a very, very cool group of extreme guys that are committed to both extreme wealth and extreme action and just extreme extremity, make sure to check out GoBundance. It's a very cool group of guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we'll do McDaniel Challenge right now. Guys, McDaniel Challenge. It is hashtag do not let Greg spend a night alone. It is when you get on the phone with me, text me, or email me. I'll give you my private cell phone. We'll book a time. I'm booked all the way through until Thursday of next week at this point. So, guys, spots are definitely filling up. Get a hold of me, 925-915-1978. Again, 925-915-1978. Or if you're in the shower, working out, doing something where a pen is not readily available, go to McDanielChallenge.com and you can go and enter there, and we'll get booked up. So I'm sure everyone's tired of hearing me talk, so I'm going to turn it back over to you.
All right, awesome. So the San Jose Mercury News. So Tony, give me your perspective on this. So we were talking about this a little bit before we went live. So we're going to talk about some of the numbers that came out. So over the period from November 2014 to 2015, nationally there was a 6% nationwide home price increase. The prediction is that prices will go up another 5% by November of this coming year. And that there's also some interesting stats where in the San Jose, Sunnyvale, Santa Clara area, there was like over an 8.5% increase and almost a 10% increase in like the Oakland, Berkeley area. So obviously San Francisco real estate continues to appreciate faster than the national average. There's some pockets and things like condos that are down a little bit, and I'm sure there's maybe some other areas that are experienced a little bit differently. But obviously you guys are feeling the pinch. It's a tight market. But tell us a little bit about what's going on there with from the mortgage perspective. Obviously rates are ticking up a little bit and expected to uptick a little bit at least over the coming year, but that's not necessarily resulted in higher mortgage rates. So what's going on there?
Yeah, one thing that, and thanks, it's a good question, and a lot of people are wondering how high home prices can go. Will they ever stop? And for right now, I think 5 to 6% year over year is not an aggressive number at all for us in the Bay Area. You mentioned Oakland, Berkeley, what we call here the East Bay. It's a little further away from the tech center of Silicon Valley in San Francisco. A lot of people are looking at rents. They've gone up. So there's a limited inventory, and you have higher rents, and they're going, you know what? I can buy a single-family residence for the same price I'm renting over here. So people are moving across the Bay, and that's driving home prices up in places like Pleasanton, and let's just say East Bay for those who aren't from around here. But the limited inventory is the driving force right now behind the higher home prices year over year. The second thing is a lot of these homes are falling into what they call the jumbo category as far as the mortgage is concerned, and jumbo guidelines have loosened up. We also have a lot of foreign investors. The average price that the Chinese lead the nation as far as foreign investors. Their average purchase price is $861,000. Canada is second. Theirs is only $350, and the United States is only $250. So we have a lot of foreign investors that come in here and are saying, you know what, I'm going to dump some cash into these properties. So we have a lot of cash buyers that are buying up these properties and creating these bidding wars on anything that has a good location, a good vibe to it. We're also seeing a lot of transitional neighborhoods where you have owners that have these homes for many, many years, and they're going, well, we have Prop 13, which is where your taxes don't move up a lot on a yearly basis. But we're going to get, our home price has gone up. Let's just go ahead and sell, and everyone is coming in and buying these, and we're seeing a lot of transitional neighborhoods. So I really think the Bay Area has quite a few months and maybe even years before everything plays out. It's really been a big shuffling of homes in the Bay Area and where the wealth has moved. But even on the high end, you're talking over $1 million, which is funny to say that most of the homes right now in the peninsula are selling for over $1 million. San Mateo's 1.1 million is the average.
Wow.
These homes are just going, they're flying out. They're not even the shorter days on the market, over asking price, multiple offers. Greg, you know exactly what I'm talking about
Oh
here.
yeah, we're in,
What seems to be more of the topic is what's the catalyst? What's going to create more of an incentive for sellers to move on? Now, you talked earlier about low interest rates and how they may be going for a little bit longer. Sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad. But right now, if a seller is trying to sell their house and one of their concerns is that interest rates may be going up by the time we decide to sell, having interest rates lower for a longer period of time gives them the advantage that they can make those smarter moves and intelligent moves and financially um, workable moves. And when I mean workable, meaning that they're not sacrificing the equity in their house to give up on payment somewhere else because interest rates went up. So these lower rates are really giving people opportunities to, what I call manage their mortgage, and that's whether on a refinance or on a purchase. So it is a tight market, but it is working in everybody's favor who is a homeowner. Where we're really struggling is the first-time home buyers and people who are struggling with down payment and credit scores. We have guideline issues that are creating. I was just going through some guidelines just now on some new, what they call portfolio products. For those who don't know, it's a loan that's held by the bank and not sold on the secondary market back to Fannie, where Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac wrap it up and sell it as a security. And these banks are holding on to these loans because they're saying, you know what, we can see this market out there that nobody's using. We need to exploit not exploit, but offer these products, and this is where the new wave of products are coming out. We're looking at shorter wait times on bankruptcies, foreclosures, short sales, foreclosure and deed of sale, and all of these types of products are going to benefit some of these first-time owners and previous owners, or sorry, first-time buyers and previous owners, especially the previous owners that have had difficulties with these guidelines. So it's really a big, the big picture is that it's not as complex as it usually is in the real estate market, meaning there's not creative ways to buy houses and sell houses. Yeah. It's really kind of straightforward. What a lot of people say in the mortgage business before 2000 was this is the way the market was before then. We just didn't have these higher home prices. We had a little bit more inventory, but now everybody wants to own property right now. It's still very healthy as far as that's concerned.
Okay. So, Greg, how does that translate into what you're seeing on the sales side? Obviously, you're not seeing as many sellers as you would like to list their home for sale, and part of that is, like Tony mentioned, there's not a rising interest rate to really compel them to make a move now and get into the next home and by a certain time frame, for example, because they're not anticipating a big uptick in insurance rates, or not, interest rates, excuse me. So, what are you seeing when you're out there selling and talking to homeowners, and how is the market there?
Well, I'm in the East Bay where Tony was talking about. We call it the Tri-Valley area. What we're seeing on our end is we're seeing a lot of sellers that their feet are starting to get little itchy, because they're standing around. They're like, okay, I want to make a move. I want to do something, because they see the value in the homes. They see the 2007 pricing again, 2006 pricing again, and since we've surpassed that in many markets, and the inventory is so low. Like there's a city called Pleasant Hill that I work in. Literally 13 homes for sale. Go over to Walnut Creek where there's 5 zip codes. There is 27 homes for sale. That is freaking stupid. So what I'm doing is I'm being extremely proactive, and I have the ability to make a ton of phone calls, and so we're doing that, and we're getting people responding back saying, hey, if you really got a buyer, man, I'd really be interested in meet today. I'm going out to meet a gentleman in Walnut Creek, and that it was definitely very interested in selling his home. He's going to be a sell-buy. Another guy in Pleasant Hill, he wants to sell, move to Brentwood, but he can't get his wife to move out to Brentwood. They got to wait a year until their kid is out of high school. So I'm seeing that there's a lot of quote-unquote shadow inventory. There's a lot of people that would sell because they want to take advantage of the pricing, but what they're seeing is not a lot of signs. They're hearing about all these. Well, the market's not moving as fast as they'd like, so they say, oh, well, we'll just wait a little while. When in reality, since we're in an election year, I don't see the valuations changing in a negative way. 2017, there's going to be a shift. 2017 in some way, shape, or form. Like Tony was saying, it's unsustainable to remain where we are, because then we're just fools. Then you're pulling a Greg, and you're just putting your head in the sand.
All right, well, Tony, let's go back to these. I'm curious about the portfolio products. So these are products that they're not packaging up and reselling or sending off to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. So they're seeing these opportunities to get a little bit more creative, keep the loans in-house, service them themselves. How creative are they getting, and what kinds of like what are the differences between that and just a conventional loan?
Well, I think the main incentive for somebody, or something that's attractive to the majority, would be something that like a short, no wait periods for short sales, foreclosures, bankruptcies, and deed of foreclosure. These are,
So in other words, they're not getting punished as
they're
badly
not getting
for
punished.
things that
Fannie
happened in the
Mae,
past.
if you have a foreclosure, you want to go to Fannie Mae, it's 7 years. If you want to go to FHA, it's 4 years. If you have a short sale, its a wait is for I believe 2 years for 2 or 3 years for FHA and 4 years for Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. So you're looking at these long wait periods. Well, these portfolio loans, what they do is they go, okay, we're going to look at your whole credit package. We're going to say, okay, you need, if you have it, a short sale 3 years ago, we can say will give you this interest rate, and you need this much equity in your property or down payment for a purchase. And it's a way that they're ultimately, what it is they have investors, and they're going to, like once a week. I work with a Fremont Bank, and they'll sit down every Tuesday, and they look at all of the loans that have come in, and they sit down with their investors and say, which ones will you do, what will be the rate, what's the term. But what we're seeing a little bit more aggressive is that in the past, a portfolio loan would always be a non-traditional loan, meaning an ARM. Nowadays, they're offering 30-year fixed, which is really attractive. However, based on somebody's scenario, they can do the non-traditional or the ARM, and then once they get their credit fixed or they get beyond that wait period, they can go and move into a traditional 30-year fixed. So it's a stepping stone is what these portfolio loans are. They aren't a permanent loan, in my opinion, for people, but it is an acquisition loan. It's an emergency loan. They say you need some cash out. You had a question earlier about someone who thought maybe they would fix up their house. These loans allow cash out, so you can get cash out, fix up your house so that it can be sellable and get the higher price, and then move and pay off that loan. They don't have prepayment penalties. They can go up to $2 million. They have higher debt ratios. And these are becoming more popular. We're fortunate enough to be a broker where we can go, okay, we want to work with that lender, that lender, that lender, that lender, and that lender, and to conform with the kind of clientele and what that we're getting and what fits the market. And it's basically us chasing the money, but it's really us finding the best place for our clients. Lenders typically have only access to their products and the investors that they work with, and they're usually very few. And when that happens is if you're Joe owner and you want to refinance or buy, it's hit and miss for you to go to an individual lender and say, hey, I got this product, and you never know if you're getting the right rate, or if they may just deny you, and then you got to go to someone else and they might run into the same thing. That's why working with a broker and having the advantages of us building the relationships with other sources is what I recommend is the best way for somebody shopping for a home loan to go and research. So, but portfolio loans are, I think, an essential part of the market.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's because it's giving
run.
them more flexibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So just a quick question that both of you can answer this. I'm just curious from the perspective of California. How are you guys dealing with TRID requirements, and how is that affecting business on both sides?
Don't cuss at me, Matt.
I know, it's a 4-letter word.
This is a 4-letter word. No, TRID is a bitch. I mean, the banks couldn't get their shit in order. It caused a massive problem for a client that Tony and I shared. They were literally homeless. That's the client's cat who lived at my parents' house for 18 days. All because the bank said that they were ready. They weren't ready. So if you're going to be out there and you're working with a lender that is questionable on TRID, drop them like a hot rock. Go get someone that you know without a shadow of a doubt that they are TRID ready and TRID trained, because it could TRID all over you if if you don't watch out. I just made that up.
This was a funny scenario, an interesting scenario, because the client actually was given an option to use a lender that knows TRID or a lender that may not know TRID, but they decided to go with the one that didn't know trade because they had a lower rate, and this is only going to be temporary, Matt. It's not going to be something that people should be overly concerned about in the long run. Maybe another 2, 3, 4 months, but it was scary in the beginning. There were some lenders that actually were like portfolio, but they sell to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, that said that they've done 50 loans after October 3rd is the date when TRID started, and they haven't sold one of those loans to to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac because they said it was impossible to meet the guidelines. Now, that doesn't mean this is the case for everybody. Most lenders have set up procedures in which to follow TRID. It's actually quite easy. It's just on a purchase, it's going to be a little bit more amplified because there's time frames that everything has to meet, and everybody starts getting really itchy, and that just for a day late or too late, then it becomes a bigger and bigger issue, and that's where this deal ended up not failing, but it's just the emphasis was put on too much at what they call the closing disclosure without getting too technical. And it's basically the closing date or the funding date, and then they add the closing disclosure, which is 3 days early. And they're focusing basically 3 days early, and they're not letting anything happen before that is all completed. So with that said, Greg's right. You need to interview whoever you work with and make sure they understand TRID. Make sure that you can't really count on a timeline other than the normal disclosure periods, but I would give yourself an extra 5 to 10 days on any kind of closing. I would give yourself in the beginning to help prepare for making sure it's easy for the lender to make sure you have all your ducks in a row, or your paperwork, that is, your W-2s, your tax returns, your bank statements, explain any deposits, your paychecks, anything that has to do with getting this transaction done. Get it all ready and there. Get it all, get the staples out of it, is what I call it, because everybody has for some reason they're always stapling these things, and it's a pain in the butt. I mean, even it sounds silly, but anything you can do to help your transaction go through, and that will make things easier.
Interesting.
But
so that I assume
6 months
that includes
before
making sure that you buy a $40,000 truck the week before closing.
I've actually had, and you're not going to believe me, but I had somebody who they signed documents, and they had a 3-day wait period before the loan could fund, and they quit their job the day they signed the paperwork. And then the lender, of course, does a verification of employment soon before they fund the loan, and she wasn't working there, and they had to take it to a new lender and start all over. And it was people do crazy things. Absolutely crazy things. The best thing I do is sit on your hands, and after you provide all your paperwork, just sit on your hands and don't do anything. Don't go on vacation. Greg, what's the saying? If you want more business, go on vacation.
Yeah, as soon as you book a vacation, like I would use this as maybe a prospecting method, because no shit, it works. Book a big vacation every quarter, and guaranteed, right when you're about ready to leave, you're gonna have like 4 deals fall in your lap. You're like, son of a biscuit. What?
From the loan side, it seems that, and no offense, Greg, but it is funny how many vacations realtors take. That it seems like every time that I get a client and we start the loan transaction, the realtor goes, "Oh, by the way, I'm going on vacation. I'll be in Hawaii for 3 weeks." Susie in the office is going to handle the transaction. I'm like, well, I may or may not have referred you to the client, but oh my gosh, I mean.
When we worked together, I didn't go on vacation.
No.
I stayed here.
You're bound to, though. You're bound to.
I haven't had a vacation in like 7 years, dude. I gotta go on something sometime soon.
Yeah, Greg needs to get out there and travel a little bit. Greg is in the. I guess it shouldn't be a unique position, but Greg is in the unfortunately unique position of having someone like Eileen that is extremely good at handling things while you're gone, to the point that, Greg, you probably should be gone more often.
I should be.
Yeah,
I'm a creature of habit. What can I say?
Yeah, exactly.
And I gotta stop doing that. I was looking at trips. I want to book one I want to go to the Philippines really badly. I want to go to New Zealand really badly. Shit, man, I'll puddle jump down to Mexico for a weekend of tequila and beer and sun and senoritas. I'll pick you up on the way down, dude. You're in San Diego.
That's right. We'll hit Tijuana.
Oh yeah, good. We'll leave there with no kidneys and a very bad experience.
Exactly. Yeah. Tequila is bad news, folks. Just the more you know with the star. All right, so I guess the moral of the story here, a couple of things. Number one is, Greg,
Don't go
you
to
mentioned
Tijuana.
don't go to Tijuana. I have no personal experience, just to clarify, but I've heard things. But no, it's Greg. You mentioned like, hey, make sure that your lender is not just TRID trained, but also TRID experienced and knows how to get things done, so that
Yeah.
you're not trying to go on vacation and you have your lender screwing things up, and then you're trying to hold things together.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
even if it's like someone that you've worked with for a long period of time,
Yeah.
that's great. I believe me, man. I have loyalty to people that I've worked with in different industries. My insurance broker for one. But if you've got to take the emotion out of it, because this is your clients, this is your reputation, this is your business. Get the right people. And let's say your lender does, and Tony, this is not you, but let's say your lender does get finally educated on it, then go back and work with them. Otherwise, it's going to get very tritty, and it could trit all over you if you don't start understanding it.
That's right. No,
Come
tell
on.
you to TRID off.
That was
Yeah.
that was funny. It's very tritty. JD
Okay.
tritty. Come on.
Jeff Cohn once said that one of the things that made it so easy for him to get referrals was that he was very, very, very picky on the vendors that he worked with, and he only worked with ones that gave phenomenal service, independent of him. So he knew he was going to get phenomenal service. Then he picked the vendors that he knew would take amazing care of his clients, and that made a huge difference in the number and the quality of the referrals that came into him as a solo agent before he started building out his team. And that made all the difference in the world. I mean, there's no substitute for working with people that take care of your clients the way you would.
100%. We call it our good guy list, and it's the people we've worked with for however long it takes. We could be 1 or 2 times working with them, and they're just phenomenal, or it could be decades of working with them. But our joke is that it's very hard to get on that list, very easy to get off of it.
Yeah.
So
kind of like your credit.
Yeah, just like your
So
credit.
easy to destroy it and so hard to go up.
Yeah.
Credit.
Sorry about the mortgage analogy.
Well, you are a lender.
That's why you're here, Tony. Well, cool. Well, let's give, for anybody that's the general public or realtor, or anybody that's watching this in the Bay Area, Tony, what's the best way to connect with you and possibly work with you?
Simple. Website is bayarealoansource.com. bayarealoansource.com.
Awesome.
That is awesome.
All right. Well, with that, let's send this puppy home, huh?
Okay, sounds like a deal, man. You start off and then I'll go.
Okay, perfect. So a quick shout out, once again, Viral Marketing. If you're looking for help to get more repeat and referral business from your database through email and video marketing, check them out at getviral.com. Many of you might know that is how Greg and I met. Greg has his own Bay Area real estate video blog. If you actually Google that, Greg's smiling mug will come up. In fact, I just got an email from Greg, unbeknownst to him, of course.
Of course.
I think it was yesterday or maybe this morning or something. Your latest video came out. So check them out, getviral.com. And then Equity with 2 Qs. If you're looking for online buyer lead generation platform that's built from the ground up for solo agents, it's perfect for that. They will partner you up with a lender to subsidize the cost of the lead generation. You have the perfect number of leads to work for sustainable number of buyer clients. So take the McDaniel Challenge, get a hold of Greg. And then Greg, how did you want to finish things out with the McDaniel Challenge?
Hashtag don't let Greg spend a night alone.
That's right.
I don't know what you're going to find there, and whatever it is, you cannot blame me because I haven't put anything on that hashtag. But take the challenge, call me, text me, book up a time for me. While we were doing this podcast, Matt, I just booked out Thursday, so I'm booked not this week, not next week, the next week. So what are we? Today is the 11th, so the week of the 25th, I'm starting to take bookings. So text me, call me, 925-915-1978. Again, 925-915-1978. If you cannot do that because you are naked sitting in a spa or a hot tub or running around and doing a workout, hopefully you're wearing clothes if you're working out, then I would, Matt's like, oh, God.
But you don't have to put those images in our head.
No, exactly.
But I do, just to terrorize you guys right before you go to sleep. You think of naked people running.
Well, I wasn't until now.
And it's not the fitness models that are running, okay?
That's right. Trid you, fire. Just trid off. Okay. Anyway,
I'll go trid off.
Go to McDanielChallenge.com. That's what Greg is trying to say.
This
if you're
is my
listening to the
job.
audio version, you can't write down the number. Go to McDanielChallenge.com.
This is my job. Back up. Go back into your sandbox.
Step up.
Step off, fool. Go to McDaniel Challenge if you don't have a phone nearby and you can't write down my number. Thanks so much. Back to you, Matt.
Yeah, thanks. All right. So for anyone that, if you enjoy this type of content, we do this every month with Tony Mendes. We're talking about Bay Area real estate, and then we're going to be back on Wednesday with a special interview with an agent named Ashley Horcher. I believe is going to be on the show joining us to talk about ways to differentiate yourself as a female real estate agent. She is a young agent doing a lot of cool stuff with social media to prospect and find new clients. So we're going to talk to her about what she's doing for that, and then we've got a special sales and marketing training episode on Friday about events. And so we've got a couple of cool things coming up. If you are here watching the replay on YouTube, make sure to hit subscribe and get all of our future videos as well as other real estate coaching content from other coaches. And if you like the audio version just nestled right here between your ears, head on over to iTunes or Stitcher and subscribe there. So with that said, guys, a nice compact 45 minutes as usual.
Nice condensed episode. But Matt, as of this very second, dude, our people freaking rule, man. We are so grateful for all of you guys that jump on to and watch us on our YouTube, our iTunes, Stitcher, whatever else. We're at 866 people, man. That is so epic. Thank you, guys. Thank you. We love bringing this information. We want to turn the coaching industry on its head and give you all the goodness up front. So you guys can go out and be better people. So thank you beyond belief for being a part of our tribe and helping us help you get to making the money that you deserve to be making in your life.
That's right. Cool, guys. Awesome. Had a great time. We will see you all on the next episode.
Yeah, boy.
My pleasure.